Scott Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong are strongly urged to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
Oh, yes. Welcome to the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com. Yours truly on a Thursday. What are we saying? Thursday, June 25th. Yours truly sitting in for the next hour or so. Taking some tweets, taking some emails, taking some texts, and who knows how else you could concentrate and communicate with yours truly over the next hour or so. Lot to get to as we concentrate on the world of sports, and then a little then some. Wetzel Black Cloud strikes again, unfortunately, yesterday. Mets are truly amazing. They really are. Red Sox officially stink. WNBA officially is stupid. NHL is officially done if this thing does occur. Connor McDavid, idiot or genius, you make the call. NBA trade wins are a-blowing, that is for sure. Wedding bells for Travis and Taylor, perhaps. And so Trump's not the only one. How about that? Who would have thunk it? So we'll get to all those stories. Plus, you can kind of communicate with me on YouTube. You're on Twitter as well, at Opposite Picks. I always call Twitter. It's X, obviously, but at Opposite Picks. And then with the YouTube channel, which is up and running. Took a couple days here. We have to get things figured out. But you can watch us either on, FanStreamSports.com, or you can just go to the Scott Wetzel Show, FanStream Sports. Either way is fine. So what are we going to talk about today? Like I said, the Wetzel Black Cloud. I tell you, it's amazing. This dopey soccer is going to give me agita. I don't like soccer. I hate soccer, as a matter of fact. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. I think it's boring. We've been through all that stuff, right? But I still gravitate. You got to put some money on it. It's there. You get all these afternoon games. It's funny. I don't like betting baseball afternoon games because the lineups are completely different. The starters sit out these games. Catchers sit out these games. You get all the backups are playing. Some relievers aren't available because they pitched the night before. It really is an exercise in futility, so I generally stay away. But with soccer, for some dopey reason, it's an afternoon game. You got something on the TV set. I'm doing my work on a computer. We got to put a couple shekels on it. Why not, right? So we started doing unders. And after about 30, 35 games, it was 50-50. Just what's the point, right? So we moved off the unders, and then we went to ties. And ties were coming in 1/3 of the percent of the time. 10 out of I think it was like 12 out of 34, 12 out of 35 first 35 games ties. And when you're getting 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1 on ties, it's like, well, that's all you need to do is hit 1 out of 3. You're going to win money, right? So all right. Forget about the unders. Let's go to ties. So ever since we've been doing it, which has only been a couple of days, we're 1-12. We went 0-6 yesterday. 6 freaking games. Not one could come up with a tie. Tie's been coming in every other game. And we start betting it, and we went 0-6 yesterday. We're 1-12 since we started doing this a couple of days ago. And it was the one of the game, we had a couple of chances there. Good luck trying to figure out if you go to a box score. I don't know why these box scores with soccer have to be so difficult, but if you hit the box score, you would just think they would list when the goals were being scored, right? Who gets the assist? You don't get that in soccer. One more reason why soccer is dopey. So it's hard to figure out when these goals were scored. But I know a couple of games, including the Haiti game, it was 2-2 late in the game. And whoever they were playing, Ghana, they scored. Then they ended up scoring again, which is another pet peeve of mine. We talked on the podcast. So it's 3-2 Ghana over Haiti, right? 88th or so minute. Haiti's not going to tie it. I know that, but yeah, you never know, right? So Ghana gets to score a goal because Haiti stopped playing because they thought the ball went over the end line. And they ruled it didn't. They did go to review, which is fine. But while they were going to review, which took like 2-3 minutes, they didn't show us any replays on TV. I don't know what the people at Fox are doing. I don't know who's directing these soccer matches, but they must be morons. So we're trying to figure out if this goal is any good. They're taking their sweet time going to review. You have 5,000 camera angles, right? I mean, it's the World Cup. There's only one place where you're going to be watching. It's not like basketball where there's, you can be showing highlights of something behind the scenes. It's where the ball is, and they don't show us any highlights. They eventually come back and say, okay, the goal is good. Then they did show us some, but they never broke it down. Like if you watch an NFL game and it's super close, or a baseball game and it's super close, they impose, they go in on it, they make it a big blow up, and it's like, oh my goodness, there was a half an inch he was actually safe, or it was a half an inch he actually did have his hands underneath the ball for a catch in football. Like we didn't see any of that. That they showed us 4 or 5, but none of the angles were good, and everything was done in real time. Like they didn't slow it down and have the ball cross the line or not cross the line. I don't know why everyone with soccer has to be an idiot. I really don't. I mean, listen, if you're watching that, you're saying, slow it down. Let me see if this ball actually went over the line. And I don't think it did, to tell you the truth. Or, I mean, I do think it did. I think it officially, the ball has to, it's like a puck in scoring. The whole puck has to cross the goal line. Otherwise, it's not a goal. In soccer, the ball has to, apparently, all of the ball has to cross all of the line. The line is actually in play. It's got to be out of play, right? But they just never slowed it down. They never isolated, never had a close-up of it. So anyway, that was our best shot at getting a tie. And that would have been a nice plus 550 too. We would have been 1-5 with that 550. We won $50 if you're a $100 player. So ever since we've started doing it, we're 1-12. We got 6 more games today, including USA later on tonight against Turkey. That's the last game on the board. It's a meaningless game for USA, as we all know. They've already advanced into the next round. I don't even think seeding purposes it matters. I mean, it seems to me like it's a complete wash of a game. But we're going to go down with the ship. Give me 6 more ties today. On FanDuel anyway, you're getting decent numbers. There's one game that's plus 125. But other than that, everything is plus 370 with Germany and Ecuador. You have plus, where are we? 650 with Carousel and Ivory Coast. That would be nice to hit. Tunisia, Netherlands is plus 950. That would make up a lot of our losses, right? Japan, Sweden is plus 240. Not bad. Paraguay and Australia, the one is only plus 125. And then the USA game against Turkey is plus 310. So hopefully we get at least 2 winners. And like I said, if we could get any one of those plus 650 or plus 950 ties, then we'd really be able to kind of bounce back. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint with some of this stuff. We do this knowing, okay, we got about 35 games left, and hopefully we get 10 more ties. And they do have ties in the next round. It's the same bet. I mean, they do go to a shootout, so someone does win or lose, but the bet is still a tie. You can still bet it in regulation. Like, Ecuador and Germany at 4 o'clock Eastern. Right? If you bet on Ecuador, it's plus 390. You bet on Germany, it's minus 175. If you bet it's a tie, it's plus 370, right? They'll have that, whether that's a elimination game in the next round or one of these round-robin games that we're having right now, they'll have that same bet. So this is not the end of it for our ties. Maybe, unfortunately. Who knows? But late game for USA, 10 o'clock Eastern time. In a meaningless game. Be curious to see what the ratings are with that one. But 0-6, hopefully that turns into a little bit better number in our favor. Baseball last night, man, the Mets are just bad. Wow. Me being a Red Sox fan, and I'll get to them in a second. But I've never seen a game. I've been watching baseball for 50 years. I don't ever remember ever hearing a team have 6 errors, 1 in a game, and 6 infield errors to boot. And, watching those errors and seeing the replays of it, I wasn't watching the game per se. Man, I tell you, that maybe there was one where the second baseman was going into the outfield to make a catch and he dropped the ball, but he was there, but he was still kind of running. That's probably the only one that could have been ruled a base hit. Otherwise, the other 5, there's like 4 of them. 3 or 4 of them that a little leaguer, I mean, honestly, the Topeka Heights team could have made these plays without, causing an error. There was one hot shot to the first baseman, the last one. I mean, he was there. He should have made it, but at least that ball was hit hard. And other than that, there was a grounder to the second baseman, just botched it. Grounded to the shortstop, just botched it. Throwing the ball to the pitcher covering the bag, went over the pitcher's head, just botched it. I mean, just as bad can be. And if you ever watch Met games, their announcers, it's Keith Hernandez, Gary Cohen, and Ron Darling, right? They're really good. They are, and they're fair, they're honest, they don't cut corners, they don't go over the top, criticize, but it's a good broadcast. It really is, right? Not too many people complain about that. But, Gary Cohen, the play-by-play guy who's really good, except when he's calling a home run, it sounds like, he's yelling at you. But other than that, even he's probably the most, okay, whatever. He's the Mike Breen of the broadcast. You guys say whatever the hell you want. I'm going to stay neutral, right? Even he was making fun of the Mets last night. When that's like the line in the sand. The other guys, okay, that's their thing. But when the play-by-play guy, and Cohen in particular, starts bashing the Mets, I said this last week, and I was wrong, although I still kind of have some leeway. But whenever you have hometown announcers start bashing the manager, that manager's going to get fired. It may take a week or 2 weeks, maybe even 3, but if things don't change, then that manager is fired. And I say that because, most local broadcasts, they want to be fair, and they know, they don't want to bash a player or a coach. They want to be the neutral folks, right? Let the fans bash them, right? So whenever they actually do, I'm convinced it's because the team said, you know what, start laying the groundwork. Not that you need any more groundwork for Carlos Mendoza, manager of the Mets. He's got plenty. But when they start criticizing the manager and how bad the team is playing and something has to happen, you got to start reevaluating things. I think that was their big phrase last night. That tells me the management went to them and said, go ahead, bash them all you want, because we're at the point where we're going to fire the guy. I don't know how he's kept his job at this point. Mendoza seems like a nice guy. I don't doubt the players like him, but I don't know if they respect him or not. I mean, this team was just a complete mess. 6 infield errors in one game in the major leagues. Like I said, and 4 of them were just legitimate, just simple grounders right to you. Oh, they're horrible. We brought it up yesterday here, right? I mean, they're an identical sideshow to the Boston Red Sox, who somehow or another, they go into Seattle, first-place team. Not a great first-place team, but a first-place team, just the same. They go into Seattle, and they win 2 out of the 3 games. And I'm thinking, all right, we got Colorado coming up next. I say we because I'm a Red Sox fan. I paid my dues. I could say we. And we've got to take at least 2 out of the 3, if not sweep, right? I mean, the Rockies blow. So we come out of this 6-game homestand 5-1. We're heading home to face the Stankies in a 4-game homestand, or 4 games anyway against the Yanks. I'm sure the homestand is longer than that. Got a chance to turn our season around here, right? So go into Seattle, win 2 out of the 3. We'll take that. Let's go to Colorado and sweep, or at least take 2 out of the 3. They win the first game. All right, we're rolling. They blow a 2-0 9th-inning lead with Aroldis Chapman on the hill 2 days ago, which it's hard to blame him because he's been terrific, but they did. They blew that one. All right, we'll win yesterday. We'll take 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. We'll come home 4-2 heading into the Stanky series. Not bad. And then they blow a 3-0 lead. Our guy that we love to beat up on, Kyle Freeland, he came through. He was atrocious. Red Sox scored 3 runs in the first inning. Looks like it's going to be an easy win. Had a 4-2 lead after 4 or 5, but as well as Ranger Suarez pitched, bullpen came in. They were brutal. Long story short, the Red Sox lose. They lose 2 out of 3 to the stinking Rockies. The Colorado Rockies. Obviously, they're bad. They're not as bad as last year, but they're bad, right? Probably the worst team in baseball. They've been outscored by 90 runs, which is 33 more than any other team. 90 runs they've been outscored by a wide margin. Like I said, 33 runs. And the Red Sox find a way to lose 2 out of 3 to that team, to that pathetic team. They've already fired their manager, so Core's gone, so they can't do that. It's just like they got the fewest wins. They've tied with Colorado now for the fewest wins in baseball, 32. 32. Just awful. You want to hope that things can turn around, But as we pointed out, it's not necessarily you look at the standings and say, well, it's not insurmountable. The AL East division lead is 15 and a half games. They're not catching that. Wild card, they're 6 back, which is, that's not that bad, Scott. Forget about the record. It's true. It's not that bad. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got to overtake 9 teams. 9. Just to get into the third wild card spot. They have the worst record. I told you, they have the worst record in the American League. So you need all 9 of those teams to come back to the pack. And I pointed this out on the podcast, and I put it out on Sports Grid, other shows. The Philadelphia Phillies fired their manager earlier this year, right? They were 8.5 back. They've gone 35-17 under Don Mattingly. Pretty good, right? 35-17. They've gained 4 games in the standings. 4. They're 4.5 back. Not horrible, but it's an example of how it's easy to look at the standings and say, yeah, we can make up 6 games. Or in the case of the Mets, who are now 9 back, yeah, we can make up 9 games. It's only June, Scott. No worries. It's hard to make up ground. You could do it in one series if all the dominoes fall the right way. In the case of the Mets, the Phillies, which are if Phillies, St. Louis, and the Cubs are the 3 wild card teams. So, could the Cubs lose 3 games and the Mets win 3, and all of a sudden the Mets are 6 back? Yes and no. Yes, that could happen, but no, they won't be 6 back. Well, why not? They just, Cubs lost 3, Red Sox won, or the Mets won 3. Because the Mets would need also the Padres, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, the Pirates, and the Reds also to lose in order to really gain ground on the wild card spot. You'll move up maybe in the standings slowly but surely, but you're going to stay 6 back because you need all those teams to lose. Because all those other teams will be gaining ground on the Cubs theoretically as well. That's why it's not necessarily how far back you are. It's how many teams you have to overcome. And the Red Sox are dead. Mets are dead. 2 of the biggest markets, they're a carbon copy of each other. High expectations coming in, and just disaster. Just absolute disaster. So good summer to go to the ballpark. I'm sure you're going to be able to get tickets, next to nothing. Especially at Fenway Park, where tickets are generally limited. But as far as really interest goes, it's going to be a long year. Long year, Sad. I'm going to give it, I told the guys on the podcast, we're going to give it until the end of the month, which is, only 5 more days, right? Today's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, not count today. 5 more days. Red Sox have a huge series, as I mentioned, with the Yanks. If they lose 3 out of the 4, God forbid, then that's it. It's done. We don't even have to wait for the trade deadline to start selling players. Generally, second fiddle wouldn't be the WNBA, but I'll throw it out there. Third fiddle, I guess. We talked about soccer first. Boy, the WNBA is officially stupid. They really are. I had a daughter. I got 2 daughters. One played basketball, right? So I'm into the WNBA a little bit, believe it or not. I'll bet on it. I have more confidence in winning a WNBA bet, which we generally do pretty good with, believe it or not. If you go to my website, we give out free picks than we do any other sport. So I follow it. I'm not watching it every single night, but I follow enough, right? And kind of root for it a little bit, just because the daughter's into it, wife's into it, and all that other stuff. So anyway, long story short, they get this golden goose, right? A couple of years ago, Caitlin Clark. Sensation, whether you think she's good, bad, overrated, whatever. People loved her in college, right? Greatest thing in the world, set all these records for TV audiences and everything else going on, right? And she comes into the WNBA. She gets drafted by Indiana, which, for her is a pretty good thing since she's from nearby Iowa. So people can go view her and watch her and make the trip to Iowa from Indiana, or from Iowa to Indiana, rather. And it's just a breath of fresh air that the WNBA needs. It's just kind of sitting there doing nothing, the WNBA, right? Nobody really cares about it. All the other star players, they're not good enough to really bring it mainstream. It's kind of like hockey. You could love the sport, but is there a player? Is there a Wayne Gretzky? Is there a Connor McDavid? Is there somebody that can bring mainstream USA into the fold? Soccer hasn't had, or hockey hasn't had that in a long, long, long time, right? WNBA gets the golden goose. It's Caitlin Clark. You know, you get the some people that say she's great, the fans. You got other people that say she's overrated, but it's like the Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys. It's creating interest, for better or worse. It's creating interest. We got this great thing on our hands. We got a TV contract coming up. We got new teams coming in. Why? All because of Caitlin Clark. That's it. I don't care what those other broads say. It's all because of Caitlin Clark. If it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, whether you like her, whether you hate her, whether you think she's awful, it doesn't matter. The league would not probably be here right now. It's certainly not at this level. And yet, if you follow certain people on Twitter, there's like a groupie out there, a bunch of them, right? And they're sending these clips out. And each clip is her getting fouled and whacked and fouled and this and that with no fouls being called. Doesn't matter. It could be white, red. It's not a black-white issue as far as the league, I don't think, is concerned, because you have white officials, you have black officials, you have females, you have male officials. They don't want to call a foul on this girl, Caitlin Clark. It's just amazing. They're killing the golden goose. They're giving her technicals. She got elbowed last night. The one last night where it looked like she got punched in the neck. She didn't really get punched in the neck, but why ruin facts with a great story, right? The problem is they don't like her for some dopey reason. And then the kicker, last night, WNBA is celebrating its 30th year. So they created this poster, 30th year, WNBA, blah, 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 right? And they got all, the great players in the league, some current, some former great players. I'll give you one guess who they did not put on that poster. Caitlin Clark. Why? Why in the world? I've never seen a league try to alienate its biggest star by far. The average Joe Schmo, couldn't you name one other player? That they know. If you said, here's 10 sports fans, name 2 WNBA players. All right, Caitlin Clark, okay. You got that knucklehead from LSU. I forget her name. She's a jerk. We know. But you got to give me a name though. All right. You got Minnesota's really good. They got a couple of good players. Yeah. But give me a name. Well, the one that plays golf. Yeah, but no name. No name. Maybe they could come up with Sabrina Ionescu for the New York Liberty. Maybe, but one for the most part, it's one. So they create this poster to honor the league and celebrate the league and whatever. And the biggest star they have today, they don't put on the poster. This goes back to the Olympics. When they had that knucklehead, the head coach from LSU, who was the head coach of the Olympics, decided she wasn't going to put her on the Olympic team either. There is you talk about a jealousy. And again, it is not just a black-white issue. It isn't. You get white, players that are, alienating her as well, or white officials or whatever. Even the dopey head coach finally last night came out and defended her because it looked like she got punched in the neck by one of the players that they were taking on. But it's amazing. You have the biggest thing. Baseball doesn't even have this, right? I mean, Aaron Judge, it's one of the faults you have with baseball. Who's the biggest star in baseball? Who's the guy that you would go to a baseball game to go see, even if you're not a fan or tune in on TV? Probably Judge, right? Even though I'm a Red Sox fan, I'll give you Aaron Judge. Is there another guy? Outside of pitchers, maybe Skeens, but I'll tell you what, go look at Pittsburgh's attendance when Paul Skeens pitches. Nobody's showing up. Nobody. So it's not even him. Even Major League Baseball doesn't have a Caitlin Clark. Like Caitlin Clark to the WNBA is bigger than Aaron Judge is to Major League Baseball. NBA has a ton of them. Football has a ton of them. But those are the two. Hockey, I would think McDavid would be the one. Sidney Crosby still playing. I think fans would go see. Ovechkin, certainly. Even hockey's got more than Major League Baseball when you start to think about it. But the WNBA, which is holding on, has won, and they do everything. And how in the world, who is the nitwit that decided, okay, we're going to put this poster together, and there's like 30 people. There's not just one or two. There's like 30 women on this poster. And who is the bird brain that said we're not going to put the current player who everyone loves or hates on this poster? It's just stupid. Just it's beyond stupid. There's just like, I would like to have interviews with some of these people and say, I don't know, explain to me, why would you not put her on there? I mean, it's not because of space. You have 30 people, 2/3 of the people no one's ever heard of, the former players. It's just beyond dumb. And then the way they treat her now. I said this before, and you'll hear me repeat this stuff. There's got to come a point of time with her where she's going to say, you know what? I don't need it. I'm bigger. She's bigger than the WNBA. She is. Whether it's the Indiana Pacers, because that's her home team in essence, or there's another team, some NBA team that wants to make a statement will approach her and say, you want to come sit the bench for us? You're probably not going to play much, right? But we'll put you in. We'll let you be a sideshow if you want to be a sideshow in these blowout games. And Lord knows the NBA has a ton of blowout games. Or she'll go overseas and play in one of the international leagues. There's got to come a point where she's going to say, I don't. The WNBA needs her a lot more than she needs the WNBA. It's as simple as that. Again, whether you like it or not, and whether these other players think that she's getting too much attention. They just got a monster gazillion-dollar TV contract because of one player. One player in the idiotic league, and Val Ackerman, the commissioner, is doing everything in the world to alienate it. Crazy. So, I mentioned Connor McDavid. He's either an idiot or a genius. I'm thinking genius because we told you Edmonton, floundering, failing every single year in the postseason. This year they got knocked out in the first round. I don't know how, by Anaheim. Last 2 years they get to the Stanley Cup championship. They don't win. They lose to Florida both times. Won in a game 7 in overtime, right? We talked about how hockey, just treats their coaches like they're dirt. So they fire their head coach despite 2 Stanley Cup appearances and a playoff this year. And they hire Mike Babcock, who, if you again watch Twitter, some of the stories about how he's a knuckle, former players coming out just ripping him, saying he's an idiot, he's a jerk, he's this, he's that. But Edmonton said, okay, we're gonna do this. We talked to the players, and the players said okay. And as more and more of these stories, Mike Babcock, bad stories come out about how he's a nut and everything else. I'm thinking with McDavid, he's either a genius because he's got 1 year left on his contract and he can become a free agent. They want to re-sign him, obviously, but he said, let's hold off. We'll see what we're doing. And he knows that they're going to go belly up, and this will be his way to get out of town without him really taking the fall. And I really think that's it. He's either an idiot because he approved this nuthead, and he's going to bring him in, and they're going to hate this guy, and they're going to fire this guy, probably within a year. And who knows whose neck they're going to bring in. But why in the world? You've been in the league as long as McDavid's been in the league. You know the stories. Everybody hates this guy. Why in the world would you sign off on him? So you're either an idiot for doing that, or this is your way of knowing, all right, you're right, Scott. I know it's going to be trouble. I know it's going to be chaos. I know he's going to start ripping players. I know we're not going to do well. And at the end of the year, instead of me being the bad guy because I'm leaving, we'll kind of blame it on Babcock and let him take the fall for the whole kit and caboodle. I think that's it. I really do. So why in the world would any player sign, especially a veteran player, sign up for a bozo like Babcock, right? It's just, no. I don't believe that for a second. I would not be betting Edmonton next year, whether it's their point total or whether it's Stanley Cup championship. I think that is a sinking ship. I really do. On the other hand, we have another team that, if the story is true, to me, may have locked up the Stanley Cup championship. We'll take a break. I'll let you know who that team and a league that is more popular out of season than in season as well. We'll talk about that next. The Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStream Sports, getting underway on a Thursday, June 25th. More coming up.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka. Named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. What is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things to showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go.
Right now.
Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back. It is Scott Wetzel Show on FanStream Sports. Find it here on FanStreamSports.com and also on the YouTube page with Scott Wetzel Show and FanStream Sports. We've got our own little page now. So many ways to watch yours truly sit in. Monday through Friday, at least an hour. We'll go a little bit more once we kind of get things up and rolling here. But every 2 p.m. Eastern time for at least 1 hour Monday through Friday. So we're talking a little hockey there a little bit. And love the Twitter stuff. I do. And we'll get to some of the comments on Twitter and on YouTube here in a second. But the Florida Panthers apparently are talking with the Winnipeg Jets for getting goalie Connor Hellebuck. Now, it takes two to tango, and Winnipeg's not going to give him up for nothing. But let's just say Florida can keep its core together. Boy, I tell you what. If they actually got Hellebuck, and I know he's had his issues in the postseason, he's got that monkey on his back for sure. But if he's able to go to the Florida Panthers without the Panthers giving up too much, man, that would be I know they didn't make the playoffs this year. They finished in last place, actually, surprisingly enough. But that would be, man, their team would be loaded. Just absolutely loaded. FanDuel right now. Now, it's not, easier said than done, to be able to make that trade. Remember, he's not a free agent. So they would have to give up, a ton of draft choices and you would think some players. But Florida right now, they moved down the aisle here a little bit. They're 7-1. Them and Colorado are favored. Colorado was favored, or Carolina actually was favored when I last checked a couple of days ago. And now the Carolina's the third choice at plus 750. I don't think you'll get a better price than 7-1 if this trade is done. If it's not done, it might bump back up to 8-9-1. You could probably hold on to that ticket and wait to bet that, when you get closer to the season. But if you want to take a chance, how far would they fall? They would probably go from 7-1, I bet, to like 5-1. They're not going to go down like the Dodgers. They're nothing crazy like that. But, well, I tell you, 5-1 plus 480, 520 in that range. So if you don't mind investing your money for basically, 11 months, Florida Panthers, boy, NHL needs that too. That they really need a monster, like an overwhelming monster team. I don't know if Tampa Bay ever was that. I don't know if Florida, despite back-to-back championships, really was ever that. Did we ever go into a season thinking, okay, they're actually going to win? I don't know. But, boy, I tell you, that would be good for hockey. Most sports want balance. I think hockey is the one sport that needs a bad guy or something, a target to go after. Whether it's Colorado, whether it's Florida, whoever it may be. But that would be something. If they got Hellebuck and kept their team intact. NBA, the NBA is the only sport, really, that is more popular out of season than it is in season. Really, when you really think about it, right? In season, you're complaining about the games are blowouts. You're complaining there's no defense. Teams are winning 135-115. Who cares? Guys are averaging 20 points, even though they couldn't score 20 points at Topeka High. It's just like it's an awful product. I don't know anybody, even an NBA groupie. I don't even know if he really or she really likes the product that the NBA regular season puts out. It's bad basketball. Players don't play, right? You're all set to watch OKC versus San Antonio, and you find out Wembanyama's not playing, or maybe Milwaukee and now Miami, against so-and-so, and you find out Giannis isn't playing. It happens all the time. There's so many issues of the NBA in the regular season that it's just like, who cares? Postseason picks up, obviously. And then in the off season, everything gets like heightened. Like it's, oh my God, it's the greatest sport in the history of mankind. And everyone's talking about it and potential trades and this and that. And it's the weirdest thing. I've never seen a sport that clearly is more popular in the off season. People are more interested in where Giannis was going to go. We went to Miami, obviously. Where Giannis is going, where LeBron is going to sign, who's trading who. Are the Knicks going to be able to re-sign these backup players that really are a dime a dozen? What are the Celtics going to do with Jaylen Brown? I mean, all these topics are so beaten up and talked about in the offseason, yet in the regular season, it just like the dial goes from 0 to 90 back down to 0 when the season starts, as far as interest is concerned, because the product is so bad. But offseason, go figure. Every headline, the trade wins, the rumors, all that stuff now is coming into fruition. Kawhi Leonard apparently wants to now join the Miami Heat. Oh, by the way, you're under contract with the Clippers still, so that may have that little hiccup in your plans to go join Miami. But there's talk about that. There's talk about LeBron going down to Miami now. You got Adebayo, you got Giannis. You throw in Kawhi Leonard somehow or another. I don't know what Miami has left to trade that the Clippers would want. All their draft choices are gone. And they don't really have any more players, but it sounds good. Okay, let's throw it out there. All this talk. LeBron back to Miami. Apparently, they're interested in signing Russell Westbrook, who's obviously well past his prime, and if he couldn't win in his prime. But I was always a Westbrook fan. He's a bit of a crazy guy, off the court. But I always liked him. Bring him down to Miami, maybe. We're talking about LeBron going to Cleveland, LeBron going to Miami. He is a free agent. Are the Lakers going to re-sign him? Is he asking for max money? Kyrie Irving apparently wants to go back to Boston. Oh, by the way, you're under contract with the Dallas Mavericks. But he threw that out there that supposedly he'd be interested in return to the Celtics. Put him on the Celtic team with Brown and Tatum. Not bad. Memphis apparently wants to trade Ja Morant. He's a guy I would take a crack at. I know he's a bit of a knucklehead. I know that. Him and Trae Young both, and maybe even more so with Morant. But if you could get him on the cheap, he's a legitimate superstar player. And you put him on a team where he doesn't have to be the main man. He could be Batman. Or check that. He could be Robin to a Batman, or at least, 50-50 like he never had in Memphis. I would definitely take a chance. But all these stories are great, right? So the other one, apparently this is going to happen. Charlotte Hornets trading a LaMelo Ball and Josh Green to the Minnesota Teacups for Naz Reid and a bunch of worthless draft choices. And it's like the Buffalo Sabres in the NHL. Charlotte Hornets have been awful basically their entire franchise history, outside of a couple of years. All the Jordan years that he owned the team, they've been awful, right? They're finally good this past season. They get into the play-in situation. They don't advance into the technically postseason, but they get into the play-in situation. One of the hottest teams, best record second half of the season. They look like they got something going here. And now they're going to trade one of their best players, LaMelo Ball and Josh Green, to the Teacups for a backup center, a center who's 6'9". He's a betweener, averages 13, 14 points a game. You and I could average 14 points a game. What are they doing? And the guy's even happy in Charlotte. Who's happy in Charlotte playing NBA basketball? You're happy in Charlotte playing for Duke or North Carolina or NC State or one of the other North Carolina teams. You're not happy playing for the Hornets. You're playing second fiddle to two college basketball teams. But this dude is happy. And that's the guy they want to trade when you finally get to be good. You wonder why these teams suck year in, year out, despite having high draft choices year in, year out. Bad management overcomes players. It really does. It's just, you're trading a guy who's averaged 20 points or more every single season in the league, except for his rookie year, when he averaged like 15. And you're trading him for a guy that averages 13, 14 points that really doesn't have a position. That's at 6'9". And they got a bunch of draft choices, though, Scott. Yeah, but you know what? They got an unprotected 2033, 8 years from now. Who the hell cares? We all could be dead by 2033. They got 3 second-round draft choices. Worthless. How many people watched the second round last night of the draft? Nobody. But nobody. And that's kind of how the attitude of the teams have with this second round. They only have a second round because it would be embarrassing to only have one round. So they're worthless. They get 3 first-round swaps, meaning that if their record is better than Minnesota's, they get to take Minnesota's draft choice. So they swap them. But Charlotte's record's not going to be better than Minnesota's, not especially not after this trade. You put LaMelo Ball, and he could team up with Anthony Edwards. You got Rudy Gobert. I mean, that's a really good team. Maybe not great. They're certainly better than the Charlotte Hornets. So those 3 first-round swaps, worthless. You might as well not even have them. I mean, so they basically traded LaMelo Ball for Naz Reid. Buffalo did the same thing in hockey, right? They snapped the longest NHL playoff drought in league history, and they traded away their best defenseman to Chicago for a high draft choice. And then yesterday they traded one of their best players, Alex Tuch, to Washington. You're finally good. You're finally good. You make the playoffs and you make a little bit of a run. Get to the second round, lose to Montreal, but still you're thinking, okay, next year, you know what? We turned it on second half of the season. We're going to carry that into next year, and the future is going to be bright. We're going to own this division and maybe be the best team in the league. Who knows? And then you trade 2 of your best players, and you get basically nothing for them. Draft choices. Great. More draft choices. So stupid. Just beyond stupid. It really is. So anyway, there is a way for us to converse back and forth. And that is on YouTube. Go to the YouTube page that the show is on, and you can hit little messages. So I do want to throw a few out there. We've gotten a bunch talking about different things. So we'll start with Andy in San Antonio. Mets suck. That is, well, Andy, that is true about that. We kind of concur on that one. He threw a few out there. What does it say? Astros may blow. He's an Astros fan. Astros may blow. But at least they're not the Rednecks and the Mets, being the Red Sox. So there was one on here that, where is it? It was at the bottom about the Edmonton Oilers. Where is it? Hold on a second. We got a bunch of them. So, which is always cool. Anyway, one of them pointed out, he went out to Oilers. Anyway, one of them pointed out that the Edmonton Oilers seem to have a knack of hiring coaches with phallic names. I saw this on Twitter last night as well, so I'm sure that's where this guy got it from, right? So they hired Mike Babcock, right? They hired Chris Knobloch, okay? They hired Jay Woodcroft, okay? I don't get this one. I'll skip over the one I don't, They hire Ken Hitchcock. Okay. So I'm afraid to come across as stupid. What am I missing with Dave Tippett? I get the Woody, I get the Nobby, I get the Babcocks and the Hitchcocks of the world. Is it the Tip? Is that supposed to represent Dave Tippett? But it is kind of funny. The Edmonton Oilers have kind of I'm sure that did not go into their thinking, but it is, someone on Twitter was smart enough to kind of put that all together, and someone tweeted that to us here, or I say tweet, but you know what I mean, sent it to us. So if I found it here, it would be, I'd put it on the TV here, but it's somewhere there. NBA is trash, says Fred. Yeah. It is. Regular season, it's trash. It's definitely, regular season trash. It's the NBA. But like I said, there are more people talking NBA right now than what they were in the regular season. That's the mystery of it all. Why? What makes the NBA so interesting out of season versus in season? I get why you'd be interested if Kyrie Irving's going to Boston or Morant's going to be traded or this, or where's LeBron going? But why does it all get shut off when the regular season actually starts? That's how bad the NBA product is, that you have all this talk leading into the start of the season and you're so excited. And then you see these games that are just brutal, that are just, the 135, 115 games. I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon. I really don't. When you talk about the money these guys are making, Jaylen Brown for the Celtics is eligible. Now, he's got 3 years left on his current contract, right? but he is eligible for whatever reason for a contract extension. Now, he's a pretty good player, right? I mean, I wouldn't say he's a top 10 player, but he's certainly top 20, and maybe even top 15. Good player. He's making, he's got 3 years locked in at right around $50 million. For whatever reason, according to NBA rules, he's eligible for a 2-year extension. $141.9 million extension. That is $70 million, $71 million a year for Jaylen Brown. I mean, did he have a nice season last year? Yeah. Is he a decent player? Yeah. But he's not Giannis. He's not Jason Tatum. Celtics are telling you that. He's not Wemby. He's not SGA. He's not, pick any. Like I said, I can rattle off 10. Not a bad player. Take him on my team. I'm a Celtic fan. But he's going to make $71 million a year. We're looking at the $100 million a year player. And we're looking at several of them. Once the escalator clauses kick in with these goofy, NBA's got goofy rules. This is another one. The guy's got 3 years left on his contract and he's eligible for an extension. Now, how can that be, right? I can see 1 year left, but 3. So they have all these dopey rules. These guys going to be making $100 million a year. And if you think that's going to change their thinking and make them take the regular season seriously, it's only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. And I pointed this out with Brown, who, as a Celtic fan, I kind of had it up to here with his crying and his bitching and his complaining. Now he's upset about the 4-letter network, which is generally a good thing, but still, he is who he is. He's been in the league a number of years, 10 years now. He averaged 6 points rookie season. Okay, no big deal. 14 points, 13 points, 20 points. First 4 years in the league, 20 points or less. Then he goes to 24, then 23, 26, 23, 22. And then this year without Tatum, he bumped up to 28.7. Really good year, right? So he wants to show the world that he could be a star player if he didn't have a star player with him. Well, that's everybody in the NBA, If you're not, if you're on a lousy team, you're going to average 5, 6, 7 more points a game just because they need you to, and you're the face of the franchise. But he's about a 22, 23 point scorer. That's all. That's all he is. Good player. Even in the postseason this year, when Tatum ended up getting hurt and they needed Brown to step up, he did have 33 in the last game against the 76ers, but on 12 of 27 shooting. Game before that, they lost 18 points. Game before that, they lost 22 points. That's him. He's a 20-point scorer. When they needed him most, he wasn't there, and that was in the postseason. I don't care about the regular season. So for him to be bitching and whining, and again, for that guy to be making $70 million, these guys are just like, man, I don't know. Like I said, it's only a matter of time. $100 million. They're going to blow by the NFL player. They're going to blow by the Major League Baseball player. Forget about hockey. It's going to be, crazy, crazy numbers. So apparently Trump's not the only one. How about that? Word today comes that Canada rejected a large number of fans' visas from Ghana trying to go to the Olympics to go watch their team play. So USA, Trump in particular, a lot of pressure, a lot of heat, about turning down visas and this and that and making Iran stay in Mexico for their game and then flying into the country and all this other stuff. But according to data by the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship of Canada, the IRCC, Ghana, or Ghanaian fans, only had 11% approval rate. 11%, 89% of the people that wanted to watch their country, their play, I guess flew over here, or maybe hopefully that was, rejected before they flew over here, right? But 89%. So all the talk about Trump and the USA taking heat on some of this stuff, we're not the only ones. We're definitely not the only ones. So See the story? Travis Swift, or Travis Swift, she will be. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have reportedly filed for a permit to close the streets around Madison Square Garden here in New York City. Kind of like the Knicks did with their watch parade and their watch parties from July 2nd through July 4th. Now, that's where the ball's not going to drop in July, but still, that's where the ball drops in that area. So I would be surprised. I mean, that would cost $1 gazillion. I don't know what New York City has planned for July 4th, but I guess they wouldn't do the fireworks there. Maybe they could do it now they really think about it. But July 2nd through July 4th, according to the great source TMZ, which actually comes up with a bunch of good sources and stories. And several members of the Kansas City Chiefs have also booked hotels in the area for the same time, which makes you think, okay, is that when they're actually going to get married? I don't know the chef's, off-season training program and when their camp opens up, but I don't think it's that early. So probably give them a nice couple of week window to go on a honeymoon and do whatever they want to do. But I don't know, man. If you're Travis Kelce, even if you're Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce is going to be done football in a year, right? Maybe 2 more years, right? If he wants to hang on just to pretend he's somebody, but he wasn't a shell of himself last year. So then it's going to be like if you're Taylor Swift, marrying this big guy and he's celebrity and on TV all the time, and I'm getting to go to games and it's exciting, it's fun, winning Super Bowls. And then, a year or 2 from now, he's going to be a schlup like you and I. What's Travis Kelce going to do? A podcast? I got a podcast, I mean, with his brother, is that, you're talking about one of the biggest stars in the industry, and Taylor Swift, and now I'm married to a podcast guy. My wife doesn't even get a thrill out of that. And if you're Travis Kelce, would you want to deal with that nonsense? I mean, doesn't there come a point in time where you just want to kind of settle down and just have kids, have a home, backyard, have a little garden like you see with me and my cigar there in my garden, right? You're never going to get that with her. Never. You're never going to have a peace of mind. You're never going to be able to walk down the street. You're never going to do anything normal. Taylor Swift looks like Napoleon. I wouldn't. And he has all the money in the world that realistically he needs, right? So he doesn't need it for the money. And the thrill of, I'm dating Taylor Swift. Oh my God. That's got to be gone. So what's left? Really? I wouldn't want that life. I wouldn't want that life. I wouldn't. And we all know women are nuts. Whether it's Taylor Swift, whether it's my wife, whether it's the neighbors, whether it's, Geno Smith's ex-girlfriend. See that story the other day? This is the Jets still being the Jets that we never got to. Ex-girlfriend called the cops on him. He's out in the driveway. She's running out of the house. I don't know. Who knows what happened, right? We kind of thought Geno was back to being normal. Had some nice years with Seattle. And last year with the Raiders was a bit of a screw up. But, football-wise, he kind of, put himself back on the map a little bit. Going to go back to the Jets. Things are going to be normal. It's not when he was younger. Maybe he got into a fight in the locker room over some charity that he was supposed to attend and he didn't, and the guy wanted the money back or something stupid like that, right? Got into a fist fight with a teammate. That's supposed to be all gone. He's supposed to calm down, right? Jets say, all right, we've had some quarterback issues here, but we kind of want a veteran quarterback to just calm the waters a little bit. We're going to draft a guy next year. We just kind of hold things over until we get to next year. So who's nice and clean and no issues? Let's bring Geno back, right? We've had the Aaron Rodgers mess. We all know that was a debacle. We had the Zach Wilson and his mother, more attention on his good-looking mother than Zach Wilson, who was just brutal as a quarterback. Now with our Miami Dolphins, by the way. They want to draft Brendan Sorsby. They can't do that. So all the quarterback issues with the Jets. They land on Geno, and what happens? A month later, he's getting into a fight with his ex-girlfriend. Man, it just it never ends. It never ends with the Jets. The Jets, and here in New York, there is a correlation for the most part, not completely. The Giant fan is the Yankee fan. The Jets fan is the Mets fan because the Jets used to play at Shea Stadium, which was the Mets' home. It's not, on the island, it's Jets, Mets, Islanders, and then off the island, you get into the city, it's Giants, Yankees, and Rangers. That's, if you took 10 fans, that would probably be 65% of them, 60, 70%. Like that would be the correlation. So the poor Jet fan hasn't had a winning season and really been in contention in eons. And the Mets are the Mets. We know that. We talked about that today. And now they get like double dipped. And then the Islanders basically stink and have for the longest time. So it's not easy being a New York fan. That is for sure. So, AG's Jets already out of contention. Yeah, they haven't played one game. We get one little. I'll throw that up there. Right. There we go. Hold on a second. Already out of contention. You know what? They probably are, to tell you the truth. There's a bunch of teams, and we'll talk more about it in future shows. There's a lot of teams that they want to bottom out. Good draft class for quarterbacks next season. No reason to finish 500 when you're not going to make the playoffs, or if you do, you're going to get bounced in the first round. So the Jets and my Miami Dolphins are two of probably about a dozen teams that would just as soon finish 2-15 than they would 8-9 or 9-8. So fast hour. You know what? We're gonna zip through a bunch of topics here. We lost our play of the day yesterday with the dopey Red Sox blowing that lead, and we went 0-6 with the soccer. So right back on the soccer again today. You decide how much you're going to put on it, but I'm going to base it on $100. We're this show is 1-9, but we'll base it on what we've been doing all along. So we're 1-12. Hopefully, we'll kind of change that around here a little bit. And then for as far as playing only one, it's got to be the Philadelphia Phillies with Christopher Sanchez on the hill, taking on a feisty little Washington team. That's not bad, right around 500. They're a decent team. Got to lay a little bit of a price, -175. But this guy has been just unhittable. Just unhittable. We have certain guys that we play against all the time and certain guys we play on. He is one of them. I wouldn't lay a 1.5 just because the Phillies are a light hitting team and it's a little dangerous. I'll just assume if you got to lay the 175, which that's the price. If you don't want to lay 175 to win 100, then you lay 175 to win 61. That's how I justify laying the bigger numbers. Just put the risk at 100. And then the win would be less versus the risk being 175 to win 100. So Phillies are the play. We're 1-1 so far in the show. We got to get back to the positive side of things, and hopefully we will. So good job by all the guys on the YouTube channel. Sending in some tweets there. I did see them all. A lot of you guys were talking back and forth. I think the idea is you guys to talk to me, but that's okay. I can pick and choose. Which ones we put on the show here. So, but I do read them all. So always encourage you guys to contribute and converse back and forth. So 3 days in the books. We'll be back tomorrow, 2:00 Eastern time, right here at FanStream Sports. And then obviously our YouTube channel with the show. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday, folks. Be safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's get some winners tonight.